and we would be ready if I were ready. Let's see. Oh, I ask that question every time. Are we live, Michelle? Good morning, everybody. Yes, I know I'm sort of mucked up here. Hold on a minute. I'm going to be piddling around. Just give me a minute. It's hard for me to move, so I'm having to move the, all the machinery. We've got camera crew here. We've got the sound people, and I'm lying to you all, you know that, don't you? Because I'm actually doing this on my iPad, and the only person I've got here with me this morning, yes, Michelle. Of course, before we say good morning to Michelle, always first and foremost, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is right by my side. I'm going to have to fiddle a little bit. It's not easy, is it? It's so, not easy. So, right then. Yes, I know my back is still frozen, but hey, thank you everybody for sending healing to me, because it's I really appreciate it. And so, where's my darling little cachorro?
He was laying in the kitchen.
Oh, he's in the kitchen where it's cool. Michelle, say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
What are you looking at down there?
My husband.
Oh, all right.
Text me.
Okay, she's on her phone. She's supposed to be with us, but she's on her phone. How can I tell you? You can't get good help these days. Can you?
Oh my goodness!
She's
Really?
She's gonna really. Sorry, she's going to get really upset about that. You know, I don't mean it, my lovely, don't you? So, right. Thank goodness Michelle gets my horrible, awful sense of humour, because without it, she'd take such offence. Well, you take offence every day, wouldn't you?
I just have really good thick skin. I don't know.
No.
I don't get offended easily.
Well, that's just as well then. You make it sound like I'm always offending you.
No, you don't hardly ever offend me.
It's like, anyway. All right, enough of this. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are so excited for your questions this morning. And so we want them to come in fast and furious. We're going to try and answer as many questions as you have for us today. But let me think just for a second. Let me think for a moment. So last night, as always, I was talking to my darling grandson. He and his mum always call me every night at bedtime, every single night of every single day since he's been born. They might have missed one or two little odd days, but mostly it's been every day. So how fortunate is that for me? And how fortunate is it that we have, all of this, the cameras and so on. And I can remember, we're going back a few years, I can remember to a time when my daughter probably was about 18 or 20 years old or something like that. And it was Halloween. And she was in one part of the country and I was in another part of the country. And she said, hold on, Mum, let's Skype. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? And we set up Skype between us, and for the first time ever we were able to see each other on camera. She showed me all of her outfits and which do you think is the best and so on and so forth, and she's been doing that ever since. When she buys something, she goes out shopping, she calls me, she says, what do you think of this or that? We've been doing it for so long now, but I remember the very first time that she did it, I was so astounded by the fact that you could actually see each other. Now I grew up in an era when I was a kid, we hold it now, you're going to be shocked. This does not mean that I'm 90 years old, by the way, but when I was a kid in England, most people did not have phones. And I think I was about, I'm going to say 20 or something like that, when my parents, and I wasn't living at home at the time, but my parents finally installed a telephone. Can you imagine not having a phone, not having a cell phone, not having a computer, not being able to talk to people, the only way you could talk to somebody was to write them a letter. Can you imagine that? And now nobody writes letters anymore. I mean,
I think letters are wonderful.
You know, I love letters, and I encourage people to write letters all the time. But nobody writes letters anymore. So, but in those days, I can remember being so astounded by the fact that I could actually see my daughter, or, you know, there she was. And not only could I see her, I could see her really clearly. And I remember once she bought 3 dresses. She couldn't decide which one she wanted, so she bought 3, and she sort of changed, came back on camera, changed again, came back on camera, and it was fascinating. Remember, now we just take it all for granted, don't we? It's just something that we do. So where am I? I don't even know where I'm going with this. But anyway, last night my grandson called me to say good night, and you know, he loves me to tell stories, and he loves me to tell stories about his when his mummy was little, and he loves me to tell stories about when I was little. He likes me to, you know, we have these quizzes where I'll say, give him sort of multiple choices, and I'll say, in the olden days, when mummy was born, in the very olden days when Mosey was a little girl, in the very, very, very olden days, which means Victorian times, and on we go. And, you know, so to him, he just loves to hear these stories of when his mother was a little girl, and also when I was little. And we were talking about bullying. We were talking about the time when his mother was being bullied and how she handled it. And I realized, you know, he's 7 years old, and we're having to deal with this right now, aren't we? We're having to deal with people bullying, people being aggressive. Kids watch the news. Kids hear people talking about all the rioting and all the and all of that stuff, and they grow up in a world where it's very different from the world that I grew up in. You know, in the olden days when I was a little girl. But how do we teach our children? What do we teach them? And Michelle and I were just talking earlier on before the show that how important it is. You don't want your kids to be bullies, but you also don't want them to be bullied. And you don't want your kids to sort of get themselves into a situation where, you know, they're going to be aggressive, but at the same time, you want them to be able to defend themselves. And I think it's important with girls, but it's also important with boys as well, that we teach our kids, you know, what to do, when to walk away, but when we sometimes have to stand up and fight. And it's my heart goes out to all of you young mothers, because it's so different now than it used to be. There was bullying going on. When I was a kid, there was bullying going on, but nobody ever really talked about it. Nobody ever really sort of, you know, sort of encourage you to do anything about it. Nowadays we talk about it openly, we talk about it freely. I'd love to hear your points of view on what should we be teaching our children, because I come from the olden days. I'm a dinosaur. According to my daughter, I'm a dinosaur. But how do you think we should handle teaching our children about bullying, teaching them not to put up with it, tell someone, so on and so forth? Yes, of course, that always works. But Michelle was telling me a story today about when her child told the bus driver that she was being bullied a few years ago, and the bus driver said, well, it's not my job to, you know, it's not my job to separate you. We have to teach our children a language, don't we, Michelle? I think, because
yes.
Your daughter was saying he's being mean to me, but actually the kid was hitting her.
He was leaving bruises on her.
So there's a difference between you know, being mean and somebody actually really seriously physically hurting you. So we have to teach our children the right language, I think, and the right way. If they have a complaint, or if they have something that's going on with them, we have to teach them what they should or shouldn't do. And this whole conversation started off because I was telling my grandson yesterday how his mother, when she was 13 years old, was being punched, literally punched and punched and punched, until in her words, at 13 years old, when she came home with bruises all over her face and all over her neck, and I sort of was asking what happened, she was so upset, and she thought she was going to be in trouble with me because she was actually the one who ended up hurting the girl much more than the girl hurt her. But I said, what happened? And tears welled in her eyes, and then she said, well, she kept punching me, Mummy, and I kept trying to say, I don't know what I've done, and can you tell me what I've done? And in other words, she was trying to reason with her, and then she said, and then she hurt me, so I hit her. And I had taught my daughter self-defense, and so, you know, I'd always said to her, if you need to defend yourself, make it count. So she punched her on the nose and broke her nose, and there was blood everywhere, and so on and on the story goes. So we were talking about that with Reese yesterday, and it occurred to me, in this day and age, Samantha, my daughter, was telling me the other day that a friend of hers had gone in somewhere in New York City. She'd gone to help a department store that's been looted and literally wrecked, and she'd gone to help put things back to rights. And as she was in there helping to put things back to rights, more rioters came in and started smashing up the place. And she said, I hid, but she said it was hard, it was really hard, and she was terrified. What do we do in those situations? Do we stand up and confront, or do we hide? What is the sensible thing to do? I mean, we all have our opinions, but with our children, with our youngsters, what are we teaching them? Are we teaching them that it's okay to be passive and to let people do this stuff? What are we teaching them? I'd love to hear your views on if you've got any ideas or any suggestions for any of the mothers out there who have young children and we just don't quite know how to help them to defend themselves. That's it. That's me done now. That's my little thing for today. So I'd love to hear from you. Michelle, do we have anyone out there today?
We have several people out there today.
Okay.
But before we continue, I'm going to make a comment on what you just said.
Oh.
I normally don't. You know I normally don't do that. But I've always taught my children that if they feel like they're in danger and somebody comes at them and touches them, for them to swing back. Always defend yourself. But I've also always taught my kids that if you feel like you're in a situation where you're outnumbered and you could get seriously hurt, to just try to get away from it or hide.
Run or hide. Yeah. What a world we live in, that we're even having to have this conversation, but there we have it.
Well, things are scary right now, and they're scary everywhere.
I know. And it's up to us, those of us who are sane and sensible, to talk to our children and to help them, to try to help them to understand what is going on. But how can you possibly understand something, to help your children to understand something, if you don't understand what's going on either? It's tough. All right,
are you ready? We're going to start with some comments here.
Go for it.
Our very first comment is from Mr. Dean.
Good morning, Mr. Dean.
And he said he's on his way to the cycle shop and he'll have to watch this later.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just glad he's getting his bike back out. I guess it's kind of getting nice out there now. Okay. Joy is on.
Morning, Joy.
And she said, good morning, Rosemary and everyone. Wendy says good morning.
Morning.
Vicky says good morning.
Good morning.
Kitty's on. She says good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so now we're going to go into real comments.
Yeah, let's not. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for saying good morning back to me, and we're done now. So
Mary
can
is
we
on.
move on to some good stuff? Not that good mornings isn't good stuff, but
Mary is on, and she said, my sisters and children are on holiday. My sister lost a stillborn in the womb. Could you please ask Grey Eagle if her baby was a boy or a girl?
I would not usually do this. However, you know, I'm not in charge, really, am I? It just is so easy, isn't it? You know, and there are people out there who say, oh, well, you know, just say anything, doesn't matter, does it? But I would never do that. I would always consult with Grey Eagle. The most important thing is that we do know that that when, how can I put this? When a child comes from the spirit world, when that soul comes from the spirit world and enters our body, by choice, it lives for a short time or a long time. Sometimes a soul will just simply want the experience of being in the womb and having the experience of connecting with another soul or with a human soul, having the experience of this human world of ours, but then we'll decide, I only want, just this much, that's all I want. It is the soul's choice. We think that being aborted, abortion, or all of that stuff, we wonder at stillborns, we wonder why children are born, children die immediately after they're born or just a few days. But the ultimate choice at the end of the day is that it is that soul's choice. And so however long a child may stay, a soul may stay in the womb, it is that soul's choice to stay in there. I know it sounds really weird, but just to have the experience. Some souls want the experience of taking that one breath, that experience of connecting with this earth of ours in that way. By the way, having talked about all of this, and it's not nearly as complicated as perhaps I'm making it sound too complicated, but it's a boy, is, not was, is, living, growing, and if you could just say to your sister that what she was able to do for this soul was to give him the opportunity of just having to being able to feel a mother's love, being able to feel the energy, the kind of energy that it wanted to experience. And so I as a mother, and having had many stillborn births, and lost at least 4 or 5 babies, it comforts me to know that I was chosen to give them that experience, no matter how short it was, no matter how devastating it was to me to lose these children. I feel blessed that I was able to give them something special. So if you could let your sister know that, that would be fabulous. Yeah.
All right.
You're looking at me like I've got 2 heads, Michelle.
No, I was not at all.
Okay.
Deidre is on.
You got lots of questions for me now, haven't you? I can see your mind's whirling around. But you can ask me anytime.
I'm not going to ask you right now.
Good morning, Deirdre.
She said that she told her kids that if someone starts hitting you, make sure to finish it. Otherwise, they will continue time and time again, and to pick on the weakest person. That they'll pick on the weakest person, not her kids.
Yeah, it's very, very tough, because you don't want to promote violence in your kids, but at the same time, unfortunately, we do have to try to encourage them to stand up for themselves, because if they don't and they allow the bullying, then then it's just going to keep on and keeping on. But also, I think, yes, I taught my daughter, Oisie finished it, she broke this kid's nose. I taught her that, but I do think it's very important also, please, we're much more aware of bullying now than we ever were. Tell your kids to tell somebody, and give them the right words to use, give them the right language, so that when they're telling a teacher, it doesn't sound like it's just a silly squabble between kids, but that it's a much more important thing that we need to be paying attention to.
Are you ready for the next one?
Go for it. Keep going.
Adrian says,
Morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Rosemary.
Morning, good morning.
I know you usually don't do this, but we lost our sweet dog Callie on Monday.
Oh,
And my heart is broken.
of course it is.
She would just like to know, was there anyone there to meet her? Is she with with Adrian's other dog, Zeus.
You're right, I don't normally do this, but this is obviously the morning when I am going to do this because, oh my darling, my heart goes out to you. I really, I know how hard it is to lose our puppies. Because they are our family. They're part of our family. Yes, she's fine, and I'm told Gregor is laughing. Not at you. He's laughing because apparently when Callie was a puppy, she was very excitable and jumping and all of that stuff, and apparently has become very excitable in this moment, just being aware that we're doing this and talking about this. She's back to how she used to be. So I do hope you understand that message. It's a weird one, but what a beautiful, beautiful puppy she is. And she's fine. Yeah, keep going.
Vicky.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ignore the... Oh. Yeah. I don't know why I'm laughing. Oh, it's my sense of humour that's got me through all this stuff. Keep going, Michelle. Pretend I'm not moaning and groaning here.
So Vicky is on, and
Boy,
she
Vicky.
said, "My child passed nearly 7 years ago at 16 years old.
Oh.
We have moved twice since the passing, and realistically, I know the spirit knows where we are, but I have had 0 signs of him. Can you please reassure me?"
The first thing that comes to mind is that you refer to your child as a spirit. Now, to be clear, we are all souls, and the light, the energy field that surrounds the soul, the flower in other words, and as we flower and as we grow, the aura, that beautiful the spirit that we have within us is the aura of the soul. I never ever refer to those in the spirit world as spirits, ghosts. I'm thinking beings of light. I think we're all beings of light. So first of all, this child of yours is, I'm told Gregor is telling me, beautiful, has survived, is with her family, with lots of family. Did I say her, his, whatever, his family? I'm listening to Gregor and I'm talking to you. And what was the question? What was the bottom line on the question?
She wants you to reassure her that he knows where they're at.
Yeah.
And that he visits.
You can move 1 trillion times. Don't think that your child is not going to be moving alongside you, with you, wherever you go. First of all, it's hard when you lose someone and then you have to, for whatever reason, you move. It's hard to leave because we think we're leaving all the memories behind, but actually the memories are in our head. We retain all of those memories, and if we're lucky, we have photos and we have film, we have movies, home movies, stuff like that to remind us. But even if we don't, the memories are in our head. But I do believe that this absolutely beautiful child is very much with you. You don't really need to reflect on the memories, although I know we all do, because I can say it's right by your side wherever you go. Don't think you can escape him, because you can't, and he won't let you, and why would he? And you don't want him to anyway. So please understand it doesn't matter how many times you move. he'll always find you. Thank goodness. And in fact, I don't even think it's a question of those in the spirit world finding us. I think it's a question of, they connect with our energy, so they're never lost. We might feel they're lost to us, but they are never ever lost to us. We are never lost to them. So there you have it. I hope that reassures you, my darling. Keep going.
The next one is a little thing from Chris.
Okay.
And she was saying that she had a girl that would repeatedly walk down the aisle on the bus or in school and slap her in the face.
Oh.
And that she
we're
always,
back to the bullying thing, right?
yeah, always turned the other cheek and then told her mom, and their parents had a conversation and it all stopped.
Good. Well, turning the other cheek is great. Yeah, I mean, it's one way to go, but I also think it's really good that, because I remember when in the olden days, as my grandson would say, when I was a kid, I would never ever be able to tell my parents. I mean, we went home, you could never tell them what happened at school. You could never tell them if you were struggling with your homework. Nobody talked in my house. You didn't talk. You didn't say anything. You didn't tell about anything. We'd have. I was a member of the drama group, and I often played the lead roles in the plays that we used to put on, and we never told. I remember, having grown up with my mother threatening me continually that I would end up in the Towers, which was the local mental hospital where my grandmother ended up, and my mother would threaten me I would end up in the Towers just like my grandmother. When I'm going to say about 14 or 15 years old, our drama group got on a bus and drove to the Towers and performed plays, and then you can, if you want to read that story, you can read it in The Eagle and the Rose, I think. And how how we interacted, and as students, we were told quite precisely by our teachers, it's up to us. We have to treat, because after we'd done the play, we then went and mingled with some of the patients, and it was awful, because some were crying all the time, some were sort of always continually tugging at your sleeve, and so on and so forth. And our job was to say, would you like a cup of tea, would you like a sandwich? We were supposed to help the patients. And I do tell in the book a story about a patient, a woman who had put herself at the very, very far end of this enormously long room, which I think used to be a ballroom at one point, and she sat there all by herself. And anyway, that's a whole other story, and what I did and how I spoke to this woman and so on made an enormous impact on me. But now, having been threatened by my mother, if you're not careful you'll end up in the Towers, you can imagine that I was terrified as the bus pulled into the driveway, and we had that that sort of awful moment of seeing the building and having it come into my head there, what I was told as a child and what I was told even as a grown-up. I never told my parents that I went to the Towers. I never told my parents that I went, that we did performances there. I never told my parents anything, because you were seen and not heard, and that was the end of that. And we were not encouraged. So I certainly wasn't. I think my younger sister was probably in a different, I think she had, even though they were the same people, she had a different mother than I had, certainly. So she might have been encouraged. But what do people do? What do kids do when they cannot go home and tell their parents? We have to encourage our children to speak out. If you can't tell your parent, tell your teacher. Tell somebody. Tell your friend, and let your friend tell your teacher. And I think we do have to encourage our kids to tell. Even though, there's this thing that we have, that we can't snitch and all the rest of it. You've got to snitch on bullies. I think that's what you've got to tell. Yes?
I was just listening.
Okay, keep going. You're looking at me very peculiarly today. Would you like to explain why that is?
Well,
Have I got two
There-
heads today?
there for a minute in the middle of that last one, I just got completely lost. I was like, I don't even know how we got to where we are right now.
Do we ever know how we got to where we
Like,
are?
I had no idea how we got there.
I just ramble on sometimes. Anyway, go ahead.
Carla is on,
Morning, Carla.
and she would like to know, she said her husband applied for a job in the USA, and can you see if we will all be moving in together in the USA or if we'll be moving around in Canada because that's where they're living right now.
Oh gosh, that's what I'm going to. Sorry, darling, but it's what I'm going to have to put on hold.
All right, well,
It's actually a way more complicated question than it seems to be, because it involves choices as well. So, I'll say this: you will have the choice. How about that? You will have the choice. So, whether you take it or not is a whole other matter. Next,
Cheryl is on,
yes,
and
Cheryl,
she
good
said,
morning.
are spirits either male or female or a mix of both before coming into this world?
There you go again with the spirits thing. Would you stop? Stop it. Our people.
I think that she
Our
made that
souls. I know.
comment before you had actually addressed it the first time.
Okay, no, that's right. Do souls, I think what you're asking is, do souls have a gender prior to coming here to this earth plane? I'd love to really get into this subject and go into it deeply, but we don't have time this morning. So I'm going to confuse you completely and say sometimes yes and sometimes no. But it's a lot more complex and a lot more complicated than that. We just, unfortunately, it's a whole show all on its own. Very interesting too. But anyway, sometimes yes and sometimes no. Sorry. I've probably made it worse for you now, haven't I? Keep going.
Okay. Elizabeth is on from Italy.
Morning, Elizabeth.
And she said, my daughter Rachel, who's 16, often sees objects in her bedroom moving or falling when she is alone, and she is not afraid. We are the only owners of this house. She'd like to know if you know who it is.
There's a myth. I think people think that if a house is an old house, or if it's been lived in by other people, or if somebody's died in that house or what have you, that anything that goes on that's a little bit spooky must be connected to previous people. But actually I think it's very, very often, even in the oldest of houses, very often when they are, let's say, haunted, it is often someone in the spirit world who is our family who comes to us, who's trying to get us to notice them. And I think that your lovely daughter obviously has a very special gift, and she obviously has someone in your family who just simply wants to say hi to her and to be noticed. We need much more time in this. Unfortunately, I have no idea who it is, so I'm afraid I'm going to let that one go. But you might want to, your daughter might want to be thinking, who could it be? Because I think that whoever it is who's trying to get her attention is somebody who's come because she loves her, she cares about her, and she wants to build a relationship, or just to have your daughter have that little bit of knowledge that she is being well cared for and that she is well loved. Yeah, Michelle.
Mary said,
Morning, Mary.
my sister sends her deepest heartfelt thank you. She said that you brought her peace and that she felt her son at that exact moment with goosebumps and all.
Oh.
She said, Rosemary, thank you so much for sharing your story too.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I know I do ramble on a bit, but there we are. It's me. What can I tell you? I've got all these phenomenal stories and experiences, and sometimes, somebody says something and it triggers off a memory, and I just think, maybe you'd like to hear about it, or so I do seem to go off the grid a bit sometimes. Do you think I've got Alzheimer's, Michelle?
No, I do not think you have Alzheimer's.
So we're laughing because it's a joke in this house, because there's somebody who actually told Michelle that I had this was before Michelle knew me better, that I had Alzheimer's. I'll admit to having old-timers, but I'm not going to admit to having Alzheimer's. Hey, keep going, Michelle.
Adrian says thank you. I'm glad that she's not in pain anymore. Talking about Callie, her puppy. Suzanne is on. She said my dad crossed over 54 years ago today, and she'd like to know if he has a message for her.
You know, it's so, well, not really strange. I was going to say it's so strange because I was thinking about my daddy who passed 44 years ago in April. That's an awfully long time to be without somebody, isn't it? And she said, did she say 50 some years ago?
54.
Her father died. And I was thinking about my father the other day, and it sort of occurred to me he'd been gone for over 44 years. Wow, that's such a long time. And 54 years is even more. Do they still, what have they moved on? Some people might say, well, surely they've moved on by now, but that means that they've let us go, and I don't think that your father has let you go, and I certainly know that my daddy hasn't let me go. I don't see him as often as I would like to, but every now and again he comes and says hi to me. And he also is actually much more interested in Samantha, I think, than me, because they have a really special relationship. And he's the one, I was again telling my grandson the other day, my father is the one who told me that we would have a boy when Samantha was actually pregnant, confirming that it was in fact a boy, which I'd known years before, but still. Does your father have a message for you? I'm asking Grey Eagle all the time. I'm chattering away to you. I'm also listening to Grey Eagle and waiting for something here, because I know something is coming, so watch out here. You need to celebrate, make a cake, have a party, however much you want to celebrate, because when someone goes past into the spirit world, no matter how long ago it is, it's a celebration of life, and it's a celebration of life continuing on. That's a message for your father. Don't be sad for me. Don't be sad for the loss. I will see you again, he says. I will see you again. In the meantime, live your life to the full. And he's also, Grey Eagle is telling me that he's actually saying, thank you for not forgetting me. And is sending bunches and bunches of forget-me-nots to you. There you go. Next.
Terry is on.
Hi, Terry.
And she said, I'm so glad I was able to listen today. I needed this. This has been a bad week for me.
Oh, darling. Would you like to tell us how we can help you? Because we'll try, if we can.
And then you have Michelle on.
Good morning, Michelle.
And she says, hi, Rosemary. My name is Michelle, and I watch you from Mexico. I hope you can help me. I'd like to know about love in my life. If you can tell me something, I would appreciate it. And then she gives her birthday.
Oh, I don't need your birthday, darling. We're not, what is it?
Not psychic hotline.
We're not the psychic hotline. We're not astrologers or astronomers or whatever. I don't read tarot cards. Well, I have done it, but I don't. That's not what I do for a living. They're fascinating though, tarot cards. When they're used correctly, they're quite fascinating. But most people use them incorrectly. But anyway, I'm asking Grey Eagle because I actually feel. What is this young lady's name?
Michelle.
Why did I forget? Michelle. I feel that this is really important to you, and here is the problem I think that you're having, is that it has become a focus for you. For some reason or another, you feel extremely insecure about, the fact that you may not ever find love. But you know what happens is, usually when we stop trying so hard, we get on with our life, we deal with our situation, we have fun with our friends. It's amazing what happens, and love comes in there just when we least expect it. I actually think, Michelle, that this is going to happen to you. Stop trying so hard, stop wanting it so badly. It will happen.
You
Then,
ready for our next one?
oh. She's got a look on her face, everyone.
I always have this look on my face right now.
She says, are you ready for the next one? Go for it, Michelle. Bring it on, baby.
Okay, this one is from Sarah.
Good morning, Sarah.
And she says, Rosemary, I'm going through a kidney illness. Do you see me getting through this soon to get back to my life as a healthy mother for my children and becoming a true warrior that I want to be for my spiritual self?
No doubt about it. Now, here's the thing, and I know why Michelle is looking at me, giving me that look. Sarah, now listen to me, my darling. I can't remember how many years ago, more than, it's got to be 50 years ago. Oh, that's an awful thought. I'm not that old, really. Many years ago, I had kidney issues that came upon me very suddenly. I ended up actually having to have 2 major surgeries, and the first one was to try to repair damage and to sort of reconstruct the kidney and reconstruct all of the bits and pieces that the kidney is reliant on, tubes and stuff like that. Anyway, unfortunately, first of all, the surgery was not successful. The reconstruction did not work. But the reason that I ended up having to have everything then taken out was because I then got a massive, very rare infection that that nobody could find a cure for. And as we all know, our kidneys are joined at the back, so they had to whip it out. They whipped out the kidney and so on and so forth. Consequently, telling you my life history here, consequently, I have become somewhat of a mini expert on kidney issues and what we need to do and what we don't need to do and so on and so forth. Now, your kidney issues, I think, are very different than mine. However, I love the fact that you want to be a warrior. I love the fact that you want to be well and healthy for your children. I would love it if you could email me and tell me a little bit more about yourself, because I might be able to give you a little bit more information. Diet is extremely important. I know that sounds weird for kidneys, but it is extremely important when you're going through this kind of stuff, and I can perhaps help you a little bit with that. The bottom line here, will you recover? And I'm going to say that what Gregor is saying to me is, let's not be under any illusions here. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. You're going to have a tough time. One of the reasons that I'm sitting here with my back frozen solid is because I'm missing kidney, I'm missing a kidney, I'm missing ribs, I've got the whole of my left side it has made everything in my back out of alignment. Can I live with it? Yes. I have been a mother because I had my kidney stuff even before I had Samantha, so I had to carry my daughter. Difficult. I have been a mother, I am a grandmother, I am well, I am healthy, I'm a warrior, and I am strong, and you can be too, my lovely. Please email me if I can help you in any other way. I'd be very happy to give you my opinion, or maybe 1 or 2 suggestions. I'm not a doctor, but nevertheless, kidneys are my thing, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, if I could reach out there and just put my arms around you, I absolutely would. We are putting you on our healing list, absolutely. It's already done, right, Michelle? Mm-hmm. So you're already on our healing list, and I think that if you keep fighting and you're determined, you'll be the best mother for your children. You will have stories to tell them. I heard somewhere scars are our battle scars. They are the medals, if you like, the medals of honor, but they do not need to define our future. They do not need to hold us back. I think you're going to be really, really fine in the end, but I do feel that you'll have a bit of a struggle, so we're going to help you. You're on our healing list already. And again, let me say, email me, rosemary@rosemaryantair.com, if I can help you in any other way. Yeah.
Cheryl is next. And
Yep.
she said, in my teens, my mom supposedly passed along to me a healing gift. Was she nuts or was it passed along to me?
Why would you think that she would be nuts? Look, I passed my gift on to my daughter. We, all of us, have the ability to heal. Every one of us. You know, God didn't just throw us onto this earth without tools, without things that we need to use. My grandson sent me healing when he found out that I had a bad back. He called me, and he's called me every single night for the last several days. Mosey, how are you? How are you feeling? And then, I'm sending you healing, Mosey. And he closes his eyes and he puts his hands out there. We all can do it. Don't be silly. Of course your mother wasn't daft. She wasn't crazy. You do have a gift. Please use it. Would you? Use it. Learn to use it. Yep.
Adrian says, I know you said once we pass, we have a life review of not good things that we have done. Do animals have the same?
Oh, what a great question. You know, I'm rarely asked a question that I haven't been asked a trillion times. That is one of those questions. No, animals do not have the same thing. And let me just be clear. It's not that we have a review. It's not that when we, you know, sort of we leave our body, we travel, we get to that place of light and goodness, we stand in the light, and it is the light that shows us, and it is the light that reflects all of the stuff that we've done right, as well as all of the stuff that we haven't done well, and sometimes things that we have done wrong. But we don't have anyone else reviewing. We are reviewing our own selves. We are, you know, which is why some people find it hard to step into the light, because boy, oh boy, you know, everything's uncovered. You can't hide a thing. You see yourself as you really are. You see yourself as you have been. And also, it's true that there are things that, it's like, you've heard the phrase, life flashes before us. We do see, and we are able to, let's say, relive or experience the things that we did, that we wish we hadn't done, and the things that we are thrilled that we did. So it's not a question of just looking at the bad stuff. It's a question of reviewing our life and seeing where we need to learn and where we need to grow, to continue to learn and continue to grow. It's not a review that is, you know, that is a punishment at all. It's meant to help us and it's meant to guide us. Keep going.
Carol is up next.
I do hope you're learning stuff here as I'm talking to you all today.
Carol is up next. She says, hi, Rosemary. The other night I had a visitor and my dog jumped up on the bed. Her ears were back flat and she moved her head side to side watching whatever or whoever it was.
Oh, nice.
Do you know anything about this, or can you tell me who it was?
I can't, in this short time that we have here. You know, this is why people book consultations with me, because they want to know this stuff. I think, though, if you review it carefully and you think about it carefully, you will actually know who it was who did visit you. Animals are much more sensitive to these things than we are, aren't they? But I can assure you that if this puppy had his ears back and so on, it's not out of fear, because if it were out of fear, it'd be trembling. It's just curiosity, looking at something that is perhaps new, you know. But if it had been something harmful or someone harmful, that puppy would have been right there defending you every step of the way. So I think it was something that was good, that was positive, but we need so much more time to review that. And I'm not a glib person. I could easily say to you, oh, don't worry, it was your granddad. Or, oh, hey, don't worry, you know, it was your sister-in-law or somebody. And wouldn't that sound great? And you'd be happy for 5 minutes with that, wouldn't you? You'd love that, wouldn't you? For 5 minutes, and then you start to doubt it. And so I'm not glib. I'm not going to give you glib answers. If I don't know, or if I can't see, or we need more time, that's what I'm going to tell you. So I'm afraid that's what I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah.
Wendy is up next.
Yes, Wendy.
And she said, my village in England has set up a Facebook group, and my mom was a teacher and I'm seeing all these photos of her from everyone.
Aw.
I'm so moved. Can you tell me if she's aware of how much she's on my mind?
Well, actually, why are you asking the road? You already know, Wendy. You know perfectly well that she knows she's with you. Of course, she knows, and you know that she knows. I think it's wonderful, though, that your friends in England have set up that Facebook page. Maybe you'd like to share this with them. Share. Put it on Facebook and let people in England know that we're thinking of them, as I always try to do. It is after all, my home. Yeah.
Suzanne's on.
Yeah.
And she said, so sad
Hi,
your
Suzanne.
mom treated you that way.
Oh.
I always listened to my kids and what they had to say. I'm a lunch monitor in a high school, and I'm there for all of my kids.
Oh, brilliant. Who is this? What is this lady's name?
Suzanne.
Suzanne. Fantastic. Don't not anyone listening, do not ever feel sorry for the way that my life was and my childhood, because I've said this a trillion times. I'll say it a trillion times more. I am so grateful to my parents because they taught me how not to be, and you know, maybe I would have never learned how not to be if I hadn't had that example. Children learn by our example. They can learn to be mean, they can learn to be, you know, say one thing and do another, but certainly they can learn how to be, but they also can learn, as I chose. I learned how not to be, and I will always be grateful for that. So don't ever, any one of you out there, think that, you know, I'm talking about the olden days and the horrible grandmother, as Reese calls my grandson calls. Was she the mean? Is she the mean one? He says, because my daughter has told him lots of stories about, because my mother was mean to me, but she was really mean to Samantha also when Samantha was a little girl. How sad is that? You got to feel sorry for somebody who can't find the joy in a child, haven't you? Next, keep going. Next up.
The next one up is Suzette.
Morning, Suzette.
And she says, good morning all. What is your take on orbs? My oldest daughter walked into her bedroom one evening and left the light off, and there was an orb moving and then stood still. Was it a visit?
Yeah, I think that we have to understand, you know, we have auras, we have an energy field, and very often it shows itself in what people term orbs, but it's actually, you can literally, you might not be able to see the person who is connected to it, but you can see the person's energy, which manifests as an orb or a light. This is why I find it fascinating when you're looking at the animals and you see an animal's aura. Aura just means energy field, by the way. When you're looking at an animal's aura, they're so pure. The first, I've told this story a trillion times, I'll tell it again. The first aura that I ever saw, ever, not even looking for it and not expecting it, was the aura of a woodlouse. I know, right? Weird, Michelle? A woodlouse. I was sitting in my armchair in my home in England, and as I'm sitting there, I'm sitting by the side of the fireplace, and as I'm sitting there, I noticed there's this really intense bright pinprick of light, and it was moving. It was sort of slowly moving up the side of the fireplace, and I'm thinking, what, you know, sort of started, what is that? And I got totally, you know, thinking, what is that light moving? And then I realized that just I can't remember whether it was behind or in front of it, was this little tiny woodlouse. And as the woodlouse was climbing up the side of the fireplace, the light was also moving up the side of the fireplace. When the woodlouse stopped, the light stopped, and so on and so forth. And I'm thinking, wow, look at that. And then I started, then the next aura I saw was that of a spider. Spiders' auras are amazing. I know people get creeped out by them, but spiders' auras are amazing. I don't know where I'm going with it, but yes, orbs are simply a manifestation of a person's aura, a person in the spirit world. Yeah. You're laughing at me.
Sarah said you're beautiful.
Oh,
That's a
thank
true
you,
story.
sweetie pie.
Terry said, I also saw a smoky shadow when you told her about the baby. She definitely believes it was her son Cody, and she said it's a great show today. And
Thank
then
you.
she asked about the basil, and I'm going to tell you, Terry, that this basil is out of control.
You mean
The basil
that
that
no,
I planted for her
no,
sons.
don't you mean the pesto?
No,
What then?
I mean the basil that I planted for her son's
Oh,
2-year birthday in heaven.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
out of control and it's huge.
Maybe she's going to make some a pesto, my recipe pesto. Somebody actually wrote, I have to laugh. Somebody wrote pesto, walnuts. No. No. Pine nuts. It was somebody from Italy
Italy.
or somewhere. Anyway, pesto, walnuts. No. Pine nuts. Well, in this country, pine nuts are so extortionately expensive,
And you can't find them half the time
and
anyway.
you can't find them half the time. But because they are so expensive, and because I'm a cook and I like to experiment, I tried different kinds of nuts, and walnuts for me,
I like walnuts.
they
and
are
pesto.
so rich and earthy, and of course walnuts have a special meaning to me because when I was growing up we had a walnut tree, believe it or not, and every sort of October or November we'd go foraging in the leaves and hunt for walnuts, but they have a particular and a beautiful flavor, and they make a great pesto. So whoever it was who said no, pine nuts, walnuts with a question mark, trust me, try it, you'll love it. Okay, keep going. And the basil is going well,
is.
right, Michelle?
Growing like crazy.
There you are then. Okay.
Okay, so Bear Medicine Walker said that love is sent to you and to you all,
We
and
hope-
hugs to Miss Rosemary.
We hope that you got our message, my darling. We really do, because didn't she? Okay, keep going.
Vicky said, thank you, Rosemary and Grey Eagle. When Grey Eagle says my son is a beautiful child, it confirms that he actually is seeing him. Connor was and still is a
Beautiful.
shockingly handsome young man.
Beautiful. It's not handsome. It's beyond handsome. And those eyes, my gosh, those eyes, yeah. All right, keep going.
Okay, so the next one is from Bear Medicine Walker again. It says, feeling a bit shattered today, so seeing you pop on makes me feel better.
Good, I'm glad.
Carla said, 5 years ago I had an abortion. Is it possible that the baby that I never knew, she or he, could be my baby of 5 months right now? I asked myself this, and thank you again.
No, I don't think it's possible. I'm just now I'm second guessing myself. Should I have been so definite? No, I don't think so. However, what I do think is that your baby, it's possible, and Gregor has put his hand on my shoulder to confirm what I'm thinking here. So I can tell you that the baby that you lost, it definitely will be an angel and a guiding light for the newborn. So please don't go down that route. Each soul is an individual soul. Each soul has its purpose and has its life to live. And as I said earlier, sometimes a soul chooses to come to this earth plane. We think we're making the decision to have the abortion, or we think that, you know, we did. I remember one time when I lost a baby, I'd run up the stairs. A neighbour was in a panic over something and came to ask my help, and I ran up the stairs, and the next thing I know, I'm in bed, and then the next thing I know, I've lost the baby. We think sometimes we do these things, but actually all of these things, there are no coincidences. All of these things are meant for a reason. But I do think that your newborn, your little one, will have an angel in the spirit world watching over this child. How about that? How nice.
Sarah said that scars are beautiful.
They are. They really are.
And then Suzanne said, "Thank you for that message from my dad. I know he's always with me. I was 8 when he crossed over.
Oh.
And by the way, I had the pleasure to meet you and attend your workshop in Lilydale, New York in 2009.
Oh, did you really? So you heard the story of, well, in fact, the lady was there whose mother had major surgery to reattach her hand. It's a long story. I'm only going to tell a brief story, but she could not, for various reasons, health reasons, she could not have anesthetic.
Oh, this is
And her daughter was there talking about this story and confirming that she used my guided meditation, A Journey Towards Healing, which is out now. You can buy it out there now. So who is it who just said that about Lilydale?
Suzanne.
Well, I hope you loved it. I hope you enjoyed it. And I remember I was in a cafe with my friends prior to the night before I did the workshop, and there were 4 girls at another table, and they were talking about different mediums they went to see and what they heard and so on and so forth. And somehow or another we all got talking, and the next thing they were gathered around our table, and we had a blast that night. It's really nice when you can give people messages, sort of, just it. We think it just happens, but there are no coincidences, are there? You give people messages. So I'm glad that you had your message, and I'd love to hear about your experience with me and Lilydale. If you'd like to email me, I'd love to hear. rosemary@rosemaryantair.com. Yeah.
The next one is from Cheryl, and she said, "I wondered if my mom was deaf because she often had mental issues.
Okay.
So I didn't know if she really passed on healing."
Well, people who suffer, let's say you mentioned mental issues, emotional issues, they are some of the most sensitive and aware people. I was actually had an occasion to look at a young man who was had been diagnosed schizophrenic, and what an awful burden for him and his parents, but what an amazingly beautiful boy he was. So often when people are emotionally, spiritually, mentally sort of confused or having difficulties, it's because they are so sensitive and so so much more aware of things going on. And I think your mother was probably one of those extremely sensitive people who may have not always made sense, but when she made sense, she really made sense. You know what I'm saying when I'm saying that to you, don't you? Keep going, Michelle.
Okay, the next one was Carol Peterson, and she says, "I know it was a good person. She didn't growl when her visitor came."
Yeah, I realized that. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad.
The next one is Patricia.
Hi, Patricia.
And she says, "Hi, Rosemary. To say the least, I love all that you do.
Hi.
I ordered the meditation CDs in March and they haven't arrived. She did send me an email, and I sent her one back saying, hey, if they have not arrived by now, let us know and we'll resend them out."
Oh, totally.
And she says, "Does it always take that long?"
No.
But I didn't get a response back from her after I'd emailed her.
You actually should, within a few days? Within a week?
That was right during the time of all the really bad COVID stuff, so I know that mail was taking longer, so I wasn't sure if that was it or not, which is why I sent her the email and said...
If you could let us know if you did receive them or not, and if you did not, we are very happy to send you...
Yeah, I'll send the whole pack back out to her.
Yeah, so just please let us know, Okay.
Bear Medicine Walker says, "Message, been listening here, not sure, other than hearing to come here today. Email? Question mark. You don't need to answer that. Just listening to you guys, it helps me at the moment. So she must have been trying
I
to
won't answer you then.
go back and forth.
Okay, keep going.
Rebecca said,
Hi, Rebecca.
"Hi, Rosemary and Michelle. Can I ask you have you heard the term spirit walker?
Yes.
It's a term that I've heard, but I don't know what it means."
Well, I think it's a Native American term, and depending on who is using it, it can mean a few things. It can mean someone who walks with spirits, who, again, we're doing the spirit thing with people in the spirit world. A spirit walker can be that person who walks with those in the spirit world. Who it can mean, a spirit walker can mean a person who goes from soul to soul to soul to comfort. It depends on the culture, and it depends on the person who's using the term, but it can mean a few different things. So I need to know where you heard it from. I need to know, in what way was it actually used when you heard it.
Annie is on.
Hi, Annie.
And she says, "Hi, Rosemary. I'm so depressed and I feel like I will never meet another partner. I have mail out since April and still not received." I'm not sure what she means by mail out, unless she emailed and it went to one of the other ones.
Okay, now listen to me, Annie. Gregor has his hand on my shoulder, so I know he wants to say something to you. Why are you letting your scars and your pain hold you back, freeze you, and define you? You may want to find happiness, and I spoke to somebody just the other day about, his vision is to find happiness and joy. Well, then get off your butt and find it. And that's what I'm saying to you. I can be here sympathizing with you, but I know that if I do, and I am in sympathy with anybody who's depressed, but if I focus on that, then I'm just going to be encouraging you to continue. So I'm going to say, if you want your happiness and you want your joy, Gregor is actually telling me that you can actually have it if you want it, but you need to get off your butt. You need to get out there and you need to do something. Stop waiting for the world to come to you. Stop waiting for your happiness and your experiences to come to you. Nobody's going to be knocking on your door, Annie, anytime soon. You need to get off your butt, get yourself up, get yourself out there. If you feel at the moment that you can't go out, the computers, look, we're talking to you here. There are lots of different help groups. There are lots and lots of different places you can go without even getting your bum off the sofa. My advice would be get your bum off the sofa and grit your teeth. I know how hard it is to go out there and to start again. I know how difficult it is. But if you don't do it, then you're not going to find the happiness and the joy that you so want. And again, Graham is putting his hand on my shoulder to tell you, if you want it, you can have it, but you've got to work for it, my lovely.
Skip wants to know if you're planning to go back to Lilydale, and if so, will you be doing private consults as many of the psychics there do?
Well, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those many psychics. Lilydale is it's a great place. If they were to invite me, how about this, Skip? If they were to invite me to go back, I certainly would absolutely consider it. And if they were to invite me back, I would certainly try to make time to take private consultations. Why not? I mean, but they've never invited me back. I think they might have found me difficult because they put me in a room when I first went there. They put me in a room, the bed literally collapsed in the middle, and they put me in a double bed to share with my friend, and we kept just rolling into the center of the bed all the time. It was just, and I have back issues and just can't do it. So I actually found a hotel outside of Lilydale, and all I heard from the organisers, now we're going back a long time, so I'm sure those organisers have changed, but all I heard from the organisers was, well, nobody else complained. So I know that they saw me as a complainer. However, if you give me a bed that I can't sleep in, of course I'm going to complain about it. I'm going to say, first of all, I'm going to be nice and say, can you find me a different room? Can you find me a proper bed? Because I can't do that. I'm going to do it nicely. But if they don't, then I'm going to take matters into my own hands and book my own hotel and find my own place to stay. And it's so hard, because very often people feel that if you're psychic, if you're spiritual, that means that you have to put up with stuff, but I'm not a hippie. I've never been. I'm not a person who, I like my comfort. Sorry, I do. And if somebody else won't give it to me, that's fine. Don't worry about that, because I can find it myself. But don't be upset when I move out of that flea-bitten, raggy place into a decent place so I can get a good night's sleep, so I can work and do my best for everybody. I'm going on now, aren't I? I'm going to stop now. Skip. If they would like to invite me back and they offer me a decent bed, yes, absolutely. I'd love to go back. Or anywhere else, and anybody out there who knows of any other organisation who might want to have me come and speak to them. Skip, maybe you know somewhere. Please, let me know. I'll take all invites under consideration. Michelle might want to travel with me. I don't know. We might. Who knows?
We might have a good time. You never know.
Who knows where we might end up? But just to be clear, don't put me in a ratty place with a bed I can't sleep in, because we collapse. My friend Kay, who is in England, she came with me, and we had to share that bed for one night, and I just couldn't do it, and I I couldn't do it. We'd have both ended up being crippled. And don't tell me that nobody else complains, because I don't care about anybody else. So there you have it. Moan, complain. Skip, do you have anything to say about that? I'd love to hear what your response is. So come on, respond to me. We've got a couple more minutes. Anyone else, Michelle, before we
Carla
quit?
said, Rosemary, that's so lovely to know. I really appreciate you answered me. Thank you.
Who was that?
Carla.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Patricia said that she's in Switzerland. She's not mad. She just was looking forward to them, and she was waiting for the CDs.
Oh,
so I told her I'll send them back out today.
Darling, let us know if you don't receive them, please, because we will send you more.
I'm just going to go ahead and send her out a new set today. She paid for the extra shipping for it.
There you go then. See? We're sending you more. At no cost to you. There.
Bear Medicine Walker said, Spirit Walkers are guides for us all, bringing healing and guidance in her culture.
Yeah, depends who you speak to, because in different cultures it might mean something a little bit different, but thank you for that, my darling.
And then Rebecca said, she says, sorry, it was Navajo Native American research
there we are.
Of hers.
Okay.
She says, hi to Grey Eagle. And would Grey Eagle have a little message, please? Thanks. Many thanks, Rebecca.
Actually, I was going to say no, Rebecca, but Grey Eagle has whispered in my ear here. Now, look, you do need to do more. I'm sorry. Fingers out. When the finger comes out, my grandson knows he's in trouble. My daughter knows she's in trouble. You do need to do some more studying. You do need to work a little bit harder, but the dream that you have is a little bit narrow. You'll do much more, much bigger, much wider, and travel seems, I feel like a fortune teller. Travel seems to be on the horizon here. Did we hear from Skip yet? I want to know what he says about the crappy bed.
No.
Oh, well.
Sir Porn says, "Hi, Rosemary.
Hi.
I'm from Thailand."
We're not sure if we're pronouncing your name
have no
correctly,
idea.
but darling, we love the fact that you're here with us.
2019 and 2020 has been really tough. I've been struggling to find a job and a lot of financial problems at home. Is there any advice you can give me?
Yes, and again, Grey Eagle is whispering in my ear. You have to persevere. Don't be put off by people who make you feel less than. Don't allow people to make you feel less than you are. You are bright. You are smart. Be patient and persevere, but don't let don't feel less than you are. Don't have a lack of self-worth, because you can do this. Just persevere, keep going. Your angels are with you every step of the way. It will come around. You will find it'll come around. Yeah, sorry, I was not quite sure how to put that then. Anything else? Did we hear yet back from Skip? Poor
No,
Skip.
we have nothing from Skip.
Oh, Skip. Come on. Did I disillusion you? Did you think?
Annie said, "Thank you, Rosemary, that she lost her partner 3 years ago and she's just scared of what's out there."
Darling, I know it's so hard, but I feel that you need a little bit of a push here, which is what I tried to do. Get off your butt, would you? Get out there, get on with it. Don't be, even though you're scared, even though you're trembling inside, you've got to try. You've got to go out there, because life will not come to you. You have to go find it.
Kitty wants to know if you know who's tap dancing in heaven. She's had a dream about it.
I think, aren't we all? Aren't they all tap dancing? That's my answer to you, Kitty. Anyone else? Anything else?
Cheryl said, "Kitty, is it Fred Astaire?" And then she said, "Sorry, I was joking around."
I love Fred Astaire. Anyone else? Anything else?
And then there's one more comment from Annie that says, "I was saying because of COVID, I have pack out there that I have not received." Oh, okay. She's got an email that she sent to us that I haven't seen. So, Annie, if you could re-email it, I would appreciate it.
Send the email again. Again, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. If you haven't heard from us, it's because we've not received it. Sometimes they go to spam, so keep trying, my lovely.
Yeah. And then Sirpern, who in Thailand, said, "Thank you so much. I almost had tears rolling down my face. It has been very difficult for me,
sweetheart,
and hopefully things will get better."
No, not hopefully. Listen to me. They will. They will get better. You just have to persevere.
I'm out.
You're out.
Done.
You're done.
We're done.
We never heard from Skip, did we?
No.
Oh, Skip. I hope I haven't disillusioned you. On the other hand, if you wanted to talk to the people at Lilydale, I'm sure that there are different people there now. They might even want to invite me back. And I promise I'll find my own hotel. How does that sound? Right. Well, thank you, everyone. The show has been a long one today. We've had so many questions and so many people. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, all of you. We will be having our story time on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Who knows what story I'm going to choose to tell on Saturday, but I love story time, and I know that you all love story time. Will it be a spooky one? Will it be a story of healing? Will it be a story of, I don't know what it'll be. Maybe I know, but I'm not telling yet. But join me 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is basically New York time for those of you who can't work it out any other way. We'll be on my main Facebook page. I can see stuff coming in all the time. You probably can't. You came out of it, right, Michelle?
No, we finally did hear from Skip. He said the situation at Lilydale was clearly not your fault. Wouldn't blame you for not going back.
Well, I'm happy to go back. Actually, I have to tell you, the people there, we had such a huge crowd of people. They were amazing, Skip. If you were there, I took my puppy Cachorro with me. He was just a puppy then, and we had an amazing time. We just had that glitch with the bed. That's all. All right, so back to
everybody's saying thank you and that they love you and that they appreciate you for all you do.
Thank you. So that's it for today. Again, if you want to know more about consultations, or if you want to know more about healing, or you want us to send you healing and so on, whatever it is you want from us, email us. Please put in the subject line. If you want to join our mailing list, please say, please put me on your mailing list, because we won't otherwise. So please email me, rosemary@rosemaryanaltair.com. Will you share, please? Will you share? And that lovely Wendy, who's in the village, for the Facebook, share it out there as well. Why not, Wendy? Just share out there. So please have a very blessed rest of the day. Join me on Saturday morning for our story time if you can. Again, it's on our main Facebook page, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My friend Chris will be there helping me with that, because Michelle's going off with her husband to do stuff and have a lovely weekend. So we hope she has a lovely weekend. We hope you have a wonderful and a very blessed rest of the day, and a very blessed rest of the week and weekend, my darlings. And I'm hopefully going to see you all on Saturday morning for story time. Bye. And did I do it? Yeah.